Proposition 6 changes the state constitution to ban forcing prison inmates to work. So let's get into the details here. So first, how did it wind up on the ballot? Well, anytime you go ahead and try and propose a constitutional amendment, it has to go to the California State Assembly and the California State Senate, and it has to get a 2/3 vote, which it did. Now, if you look on the right-hand side of the table, again, it says California House of Representatives. It's really the California State Assembly. You can see that 61 Democrats voted in favor of it. No Democrat voted against it. One didn't vote. 7 Republicans voted in favor of it. Nobody voted against it, but 10 didn't vote. Over on the Senate side, you have 3 Democrats who voted in favor of this constitutional amendment, and nobody voted against it. On the Republican side, one Republican senator voted for it, 3 voted against it, and 4 didn't vote. And so it got the requisite 2/3, and so it wound up on the ballot. That's how it wound up on the ballot. So what are the policy changes that would happen if Proposition 6 passes? Now, historically, the phrase involuntary servitude has referred to slavery, right? In the context of this proposition, involuntary servitude refers to people who are incarcerated, that is, people who are in state prisons, being forced to work as part of their sentence. The California Constitution bans involuntary servitude, but it currently makes an exception in the case of prisoners. Proposition 6 would remove this exception. What the measure explicitly prohibits state prisons from disciplining prisoners for refusing to work. The change means that prisoners will no longer be compelled to work against their will, as is currently the case under current law. While the proposition bans involuntary work, it allows prisons to offer time credits to those who voluntarily participate in work assignments. This could provide an incentive for voluntary work while ensuring that individuals retain the right to refuse to work without facing any punitive consequences. Well, what are the fiscal impacts if Proposition 6 passes? Well, currently, as I said before, the state constitution allows involuntary servitude as part of criminal sentencing. This would align California's constitution with other states that have already removed similar language from their constitutions. As of 2020, I did a little bit of research. Alabama, Oregon, Tennessee, and Vermont have passed similar measures. Now, California's current prison labor programs require inmates to work in areas like cleaning, maintenance, kitchen duties, often with minimal or no pay. If Proposition 6 passes, these programs could face restrictions, particularly in requiring inmates to work involuntarily against their will. Voluntary programs would still be allowed, right? But the state may need to restructure prison labor policies to ensure compliance with these new constitutional provisions. And then in terms of a potential fiscal impact, this could lead to increased costs for prisons if they need to replace inmate labor with paid workers for essential tasks like prison maintenance and facility maintenance. The arguments in favor of Proposition 6 are as follows. Involuntary servitude, even for prisoners, is an outdated and immoral practice. Forced labor should not be allowed under any circumstances, as it's essentially a remnant of slavery. They also argue that this is a step towards ensuring human rights and dignity of incarcerated individuals, along with aligning California's constitution with those other states that have already removed similar language and practices from their constitution. It also aligns California's constitution with the broader international trends towards eliminating all forms of forced labor. The measure would not end voluntary work programs, but rather would ensure that participation is voluntary and compensated. Rehabilitation through work should be based on choice, not coercion. The argument against Proposition 6 is as follows. First, ending involuntary labor could disrupt prison operations, as inmate labor is critical for maintaining prison facilities, including cleaning, kitchen duties, and other essential tasks. Without inmate labor, the state may need to hire more paid staff, leading to increased costs. Also, opponents argue that prison work programs play a key role in rehabilitation, offering inmates the opportunity to learn valuable skills and to learn discipline. Requiring inmates to work teaches responsibility and helps prepare them for re-entry back into society. And then lastly, the current prison labor practices are already regulated and include some protections such as minimal pay and voluntary participation in certain programs. Proposition 6 is unnecessary and could lead to unintended negative consequences. In terms of the organizations that we've been talking about in each of these propositions, the California Republican Party recommends a no vote, and the Los Angeles Daily News recommends a no vote. The California Democratic Party, the California Labor Federation, and the Los Angeles Times recommend a yes vote. So, what does a yes vote mean? A yes vote supports amending the state constitution to prohibit involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime. A no vote opposes this amendment, thereby maintaining the constitutional provision that authorizes the use of involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime. And I hope that was helpful.